Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, allow me to introduce myself. I am the most diligent, diabolical, intelligent, and analytical person you may know, but you know me better on my Instagram as the man, the myth, the legend, the icon, big Willis style, big sweetness, 21227's most wanted. Big Willie Style himself. But today on Big Willie Style TV, it's like this. What is wisdom? What is wisdom? Wisdom has a lot of terms. Wisdom is experience. Wisdom is taking what you learn and applying it. Wisdom is taking everything you know, the learnings, the teachings, the understandings, the classrooms, real life applications, and applying it into one cohesive unit. One cohesive unit. So when the time arrives, you're prepared. You're prepared for the unknown. You're prepared because you've been there. You're prepared because you've walked through those steps. You're prepared because you know when the time comes. When the chips are down. When you're out of options. It's you or nothing. The only difference between success and failure is how much effort you are going to put in. What you put in is what's going to dictate what you put out. What you put out is what the effort you put in. Wisdom is a pillar. It's a pillar of life. If you do not gain wisdom, you are not going to be prepared for your future self. If I knew now at 24 what I did not understand at 20, I would be a much different man. But it's the wisdom I gained, not just in a professional life, not just in a personal life, but I had to make mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. You make mistakes. You learn by every mistake what not to do. What you're not going to do is you're not going to commit yourself to a set of problems that you cannot fix. Those problems fester like a fungus. They fester. Now, I didn't understand that at 23, but I perfectly understand that on a personal level, which we will talk about in another episode long way down the road. But for today, why is wisdom so key? Well, there's an old, you could say, proverb. Those who do not repeat history are doomed. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And it's an excellent quote when you stop and think about there's a dichotomy of people out there, and I'm not going to specify who these people are, but I'm just going to say people in general, that they keep running their head against the wall, thinking that they could get the solution. The solution is one thing, but the problem is much different. The problem is this: if for every problem you have to identify what the problem is. That problem could be as small as building something, but it can be as major as not knowing how you feel, what your emotions are, what you wake up feeling. We all crave an addiction. We don't know what that addiction is. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be various vices. But we are all addicted to something. We don't know what that something is. But the first thing in identifying an addiction is this, and I learned this a long time ago, is you have to admit that you have a problem. Why does this intertwine with wisdom, you may be asking? Because wisdom is an excellent catalyst. It's an excellent catalyst. Because when you understand what wisdom can do, wisdom is not money. Do not mistake for I hate people understanding. I hate people. When I say I hate people, I do not like people who twist and bend and configure the word wisdom for money. And I say, slow your roll. Wisdom is not money driven. Wisdom is experience driven. Let's get it straight. Wisdom is what you learn. I hate when people say, "Well, isn't wisdom? Can't wisdom be in a money situation?" And it can be, but that not in the way I'm describing it. Wisdom and power are like this. Because, and I'm going to explain in a very, very articulate way this. Power is gained from experience. Experience is gained by wisdom. Now, if you do a Venn diagram, you'll find the common denominator, and that is the word experience. Wisdom, it can mold people. It can mature people in ways I cannot even explain, or you can even say comprehend. But what I can tell you is that wisdom changes people's perception. There's an old adage, reality is perception, perception is reality. And I say this, those words get twisted all the time, no matter what industry or what you're doing in life. The reality and the perception are completely separate. It is very, very simple like this. We all have the perception of athletes, and we all have the perception of entertainers. The reality is this. We are never going to live their lives. We live ours. So why is it that we project our opinions on these people? Wisdom is something that can come in many different forms. You can be very old or very young, but wisdom comes in a very similar manner. You don't gain it through osmosis. No. I hate to burst people's bubble with that. You don't gain that from osmosis. Wisdom is gained if you're willing, if you, the individual. This is not a team when I'm addressing. I'm addressing a person as the individual, individualization of it. Wisdom is gained by the individual. If you're surrounded by people who are not as wise as you are, people say, well, what do you do? Well, you can do one of two things. You can allow fools around you and snakes around you to lead you down a dark and ominous path, or you can use what you know and the people that do know you and do trust you and who are loyal to you and ask them their advice. And I say that because why is wisdom so important? I can, just off the top of my head, name 4 historical people who were very wise people. And 3 out of the 4 are philosophers. Mao Zedong, Machiavelli, and Voltaire are 3 of the wisest people. Now, I've been asked, well, if wisdom is so important, why is it not prevalent in today's society? And this is where the question gets a little juicy, if you ask me. And these opinions do not reflect Big Willy style, but they do enhance what wisdom means. The reason why it does not reflect in today's society is this, and we're going to keep one subject out of it. When I talk about power, and do not mistake what I'm about to say for the wrong thing. Power is a unique tool. It's a unique tool because you can have all the power, but you don't have the brains. Why do I say brains? Because intelligence works very intertwined with wisdom. Money doesn't buy you wisdom, and money doesn't buy you intelligence. If you think that, you are wrong to the umpteenth degree. Wisdom is obtained from the learnings. And it's not just by book learning. Sorry. You have to be willing, and I say the word willing because there's a correlation what I'm about to say. You have to be willing to learn. Successful people, you don't get anywhere in life if you're not willing to learn. Successful people, there's this running question. People say, why do successful people never stop working? And my answer to this is this. Do you think Big Willy style ever stopped working? No. It's because it's not in my DNA. Look at, name me any famous successful person. Mark Cuban is a good example. Do you think he ever stops working? No. You always, hard work beats talent every time. What does that mean? To me, if you're willing to put the hard work in, you are going to be successful. If you want to be successful in this lifetime, you can have all the gifts in the world. You can have nice looks, but you got to have the mentality. You got to have the mentality of, I'm going to do what is necessary to be successful. That's why I do not crack. I don't like when people crack on, the menial jobs, the wiping on the floor, because you never. I was always brought up, and I was always raised. You always give the respect to whoever is doing the job. The problem with today, the problem now, when you talk about wisdom, and this ties all back into wisdom, is this. The people who have the wisdom, and I'm not talking older people, I'm talking the people who have been there. We are all, to a degree, insecure people. But we all fight and claw for success. No matter what you do. In my career, in some guy in Indonesia, we are all claiming to be successful. But what is successful in terms of wisdom? It's knowing that I can go to bed at night and be content with my success, wake up the next morning, and thank God I breathe. I got 2 legs, I got 2 working arms, and I can be content with waking up and going out and making money and coming home with the peace of mind knowing that I've done it my way and I will continue to do it my way until I can do it my way no longer. And I have the wisdom to know what my craft is inside and out, where I don't have to worry about somebody coming after and taking my job. Or I don't have somebody coming after and taking what Big Willy Style is. Big Willy Style TV, and this is just the start, because we're going to go through pillars. We're going to go through 7 very distinct words, and they're not just words; they're principles. They're not just words or principles; they're ideals. Episode 1 is wisdom. Episode 2 is loyalty. Episode 3 is hustle. Episode 4, being a realist. And episode 5, hang on to your hats for this one, is respect. Wisdom, nobody can get it but you. It's the one quality in life that you have to put in. Nobody else can do it for you. Not your family, not your friends, not your homeboys, not your homegirls, not your Saudis, not your ride-or-die chick, not anybody in this world. You have to put it in. You have to see it through. There have been moments in my life, I will tell you, I did not understand wisdom, but I understand it now. Because to get anywhere in life, you gotta have experience. You have to read. You have to digest and soak up that information. That's why wisdom and maturity are so intertwinedly bind, because maturity gives you the growth on a mental aspect before you hit 30. Mentally, I understand there are times I don't want to do something. But I know there is a penalty and there is a consequence of not doing that said thing. So if I learn from my mistake, and I know the path that I can take, there's a quote, "May have God have mercy on my enemies, because I do not." And I'm going to end Big Willy Style TV with this. If you understand that quote, I don't have to explain it. But if you don't, I'm going to give it. May have God mercy. God, it's often said we ask for mercy in life. We ask for forgiveness. But if my enemies, the people who have backstabbed me, said horrible things behind my back, done things behind my back, may have God have mercy on me than my enemies. That means I show no quarter. I show no compassion, no empathy for these people. So when the time comes, I can cut them out of my life without a hesitation. That means I do not have to speak to you ever again. I do not have to see your face ever again. because you have betrayed an oath. That there's a quote. The day I became best friends with somebody, that means your bullshit is my bullshit, and my bullshit is your bullshit. That means wherever I go, you're gonna go with me, and wherever I go, you go with me. At its most percolate level, if that's even a word, people have wisdom and people don't. And in the end, we're going to do a summary. Basically, today's summary about wisdom is this: you can obtain it through learning, you can obtain it by teaching, but you cannot obtain it by just not teaching it. Wisdom is a powerful drug. It's powerful. I cannot explain how powerful it is. But what I can explain is this. And we'll talk about this in episode 2 when it comes to loyalty, because I do not want people to mistake what I'm about to say right now. Wisdom is the antidote to your problems. If I got bitten by a snake, I want the venom out of my body. That means I need the antidote to get rid of the venom. It's the same concept. If I know what my problem is, I know the wisdom that can correctly identify the problem. So if I can correctly identify the problem, I can use that wisdom and deductive logically thinking to minimize or solve the problem in a more efficient manner. And it drives me, Big Willy Style himself, up a wall when I hear people say wisdom is dead, and I say no. Wisdom is not dead. It is the teaching of wisdom that may be dead. But we do not understand because we have not shown the wisdom. And it makes me mad. And I don't want to say too much because it may get me. But let's just say wisdom at its most barest bone formula is this. You have to study wisdom to understand it, to comprehend it. See, I understand because I have studied wisdom. I have sat under the wisdom tree of people. So when I speak on this subject, it's very passionate because it's a scar, it's a cut that cuts very deep. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have been enlightened and you have entered the path of righteousness. I hope you have reached your moment of clarity. And no pun intended, I hope you have reached the summit of your wisdom when you have been spoken in a cohesive, concise, articulate, and intelligent manner by the man, the myth, legend, the icon, Big Willy Style.